buyer's remorse. I have been staring at the title for weeks now. I so desperately need to write. I need to get this off of me. But the words just won't come. At least not in an artsy way, in a productive manner, in a poetic style that others will not only want to read, but also want to buy. I did what I had to do. I know it was what my heart needed. It was me and my dreams, or him, and I had given him enough. I had given him everything I did, and it left me empty. Love brought me to this fucked up, lonely place, a near fatal, depressing place, a murderous, jealous place. Losing the love that was supposed to be forever, the relationship that was supposed to make and keep me safe, to bear me up. But in the end, it broke me all down. I willingly offered it, he took it all. It burns my ass that there's ultimately no one else to blame for years of innate turning a lie, giving one unrealistic, unrealized returns. Of course, many would say, hell, that you left him, so why am I hurt? All I can say is that you never had a relationship that was everything to you, that defined you. You'll never understand. You'll never know how the pain of ripping your own heart from your chest in an effort to preserve your life can feel. How empty it leaves you. The challenge of living with a gaping hole inside of you, an abyss which nothing else feels. Saran considered trashing the free verse just as a Facebook alert called Jasmine. Holy shit, Snacks, he's stealing my husband. Jasmine was one of Saran's oldest girlfriends. Her post made in the Facebook event, something borrowed, something blue. Saran groaned deep within himself. Now on top of everything else, he was left with the responsibility of informing everyone that his engagement to Rodney was called off. Visions of the Promontory Point Chapel, sitting like a castle off of Lake Michigan back home in Chicago, began to fill his head. Watery present-day precipitation followed. Saran bowed his head to the weight of the grief in the hopes that gravity would draw out the tears he had been trying to cry since the night he left Rodney and his engagement ring at the dining room table. No luck. He was no good idle those days, so in an attempt to be active and move forward, he clicked on Rich's name and brought up the host of the event's Facebook profile. He clicked the messenger button. Saran, please cancel the party. The wedding is off. In all caps. I don't want to talk about it right now. As one of his oldest friends, Saran knew Rich too well enough to know that the questions would come anyway, concern for Saran temporarily overruling his wishes. So Saran closed down the messenger screen and quickly searched through his privacy settings for the deactivate option. He needed a break from the multitude of voices and opinions, just long enough to sort out his thoughts and emotions. Social media and the like would be there when the dust settled. Saran would have never guessed that shutting down his Facebook account, even temporarily, was more involved than some people's divorce proceedings. He got frustrated and decided it was just easier to log off on all his devices and exercise some self-control. He could already feel that itchy withdrawal though. That moment of frustration, coupled with a side of ADHD, drew Saran's attention one Chrome window on his desktop over to his Gmail. The indicator informed him that there was a new message. Saran. From Mom. Subject, replying, Rodney and I have separated. I'm so sorry to hear that. I understand if you aren't ready to talk right now, but I would love to hear your voice when you're up to it. I just want to know that you are okay. Maybe you should come home for a while. Just a thought. Love, Mom. Saran's never good at reaching out for help or showing his weakness, but aside from God, his mom was the only one to whom he could bear turn. She wouldn't judge or press him for answers that he didn't have. They were so much alike, she and he. It was from her that Saran inherited an instinct for survival he coined as crisis mode. Shut down all emotions, create and execute a plan of action to resolve immediate issues, cry about it all later. In the weeks and months that followed, Saran would wrestle with the demons of the past, the memories, the doubts, the confusion of moving forward, and a very counterproductive, depressing solitude of his own making. Repeatedly, emotionally, limping to the solace he found in the sister of his heart, Cherie. I think it's time for you to focus more on your own shit, she continually advised. I'm not telling you to be the asshole we both know you're fully capable of being, but just leave him alone and get the fuck out that house right now. As Saran's downcast demeanor, she continued, I know you're disappointed with how things are going with your writing and all of that, but if this is just about money, you know I got you. You just need to get away from all of it for a season to heal, process, and plan your next moves. It would be months before Saran was emotionally and financially able to get on that plane. The process of slowly letting go of the life he had so earnestly built with Rodney was agonizingly painful, but somewhere deep down he knew that ripping the bandage off quickly would kill him. No amount of time would produce the clean break he wanted. He knew that the process wouldn't return either of them to their previous individually whole states, free and clear of the remaining jagged pieces each had deposited in the other. So he slowly and carefully began divorcing himself of the shared possessions, their mutually unfulfilled promises, praying, crying, and cursing all the way along. He hurt all over from his soul outwards. Desperate to feel anything different from the numbing, crashing weight of it all, he picked up several self-destructive habits. Chain smoking, copious amounts of that green thing, drinking binges, even revisiting countless former temptations in the form of the men who repeatedly turned up in his DMs and various social media inboxes, men who seemed to only want him when he was clearly taken and now couldn't be bothered. His already svelte frame was wasting away, a physical deficit his body could hardly afford, but aside from vain attempts to disguise it from his family and closest friends, he couldn't even find the energy to care. Finally, he returned to a twice-made, dark, and desperate mindset. 12 light blue fatal mistakes in the form of sleeping pills. He knew it would hurt those that loved him, but his cloudy vision couldn't see beyond his own private pain. The faith he had mistakenly placed only in himself had run its course, so he lay there waiting for the end. It wasn't some cry for help because he made sure there could be no earthly intervention this time. No baby sisters to have upon him violently vomiting in the bathroom. No lover to find him sleepwalking in delirium. He was done. He had given up. He wanted out. Resigned to his poorly hand-picked fate, he laid there stripped of all he was, all of the titles. The chosen golden dutiful #1 son, the lover, the writer, dreamer, the A-spy beta blue smooth criminal, Christ's redeemed. He felt stripped of it all. He waited. That was when the God he had cried out to, shouted to, and even cursed at outside under the moon so many lonely below zero nights finally spoke, but not from above on some distant heavenly throne, instead from deep inside. I'm not stopping you this time. This time it's all on you, kid. Yes, I've stripped you bare of everything, but what do you have? Who are you? Who do you want to be? I've already named you more than a conqueror. Do you want to be my shame, or do you want to be my glory? Before Saran knew anything, he had sprinted to the bathroom, to the porcelain god with a lowercase g, and retched and repented again. Nothing externally had changed, but the divine within slowly began to rise again. Still emotionally drained and physically weak, he rescinded his prior self-defeating resignation and resolved to wait, but this time instead of lamenting because of how broken he was, or the confusion of it all, Saran focused on 4 immutable, life-sustaining truths. God was still good, he still did all things well. His word was still born. His promises will remain more assured than the sun's daily ascent in the east. It was going to happen. In 3 short months, he found himself writing and making a number of moves while dreaming of a comeback to rival Jackie Washington's return to the spotlight. Finally, his flight was booked, his new course laid out, and his bags were packed to capacity, but only with the essentials. Looking around with nothing else to do in preparation for tomorrow's cab ride to McCarran Airport in Vegas and the uncertain yet promising future, he logged back into Facebook, checking himself back into the outside world. While waiting through hundreds of unseen notifications, he received an entreaty from a distant past in the person of his first love, Calvin. Surprisingly, their conversation was easy despite their troublesome history. They were open and honest about the past and found a mutual understanding. In the end, they made tentative plans to hang out during Saran's Chicago-style homecoming. A few mornings later, Rodney, the current live-in ex, insisted on taking Saran to the airport. It was thankfully a short and mostly quiet ride until... I didn't know about your trip, Rodney said, as he spied the curbside drop-off. I thought we would have some time to talk. I know you don't have it right now, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm working on some things. I got some things worked out. It's going to take some time, but things will change. I know we can figure this all out when you come back home. Okay, Saran answered. Before Saran could say anything more. Rodney was out of the truck like lightning. Saran climbed out and saw Rodney still in motion, taking the bags over to the curbside check-in. "Thanks and have a safe flight," the young male attendant said in response to Rodney's tip. Rodney turned back to Saran. The bag was awkward, but long enough for Saran to hear Rodney speak low into his ear. "I'll see you when you get back home." Rodney's certainty that Saran would come back home and come back to him cut through all of the confusion and settled deep within Saran. Saran certainly didn't know the where and the how, but the mutual tension seemed to ease. "I promise to call you when I land this time." It was a routine, but something they still shared. "I know how to find you if you don't," Rodney replied, with a sly smile back to the truck. "Have a safe flight." "Thanks again," Saran said as he watched him climb in. He's no shining knight, Saran thought to himself. Hell, neither am I. The two of them had really fucked up a lot, and there would be a lot to work through, but in a sense, Saran still saw him as a hero, and every hero has their flaws. Everything would change. Some things would be lost, some gained. Even the love would change. As Saran moved to enter the airport, he considered that last thought. He probably knew better than most. Love doesn't really die. It just changes. His cell phone vibrated. "Need a ride from O'Hare in Chicago? Calvin." The text stopped Saran's tracks. "Beep beep." The horn turned his attention back to Rodney, patiently waiting on him in the truck to enter the airport. Shit. Love Changes, available now at www.rainbowroompublishing.com.
Whoa.